Hello there, I'm the presenter. It's nice to see you. Well, I can't really see you, I can just see a camera, but I'm assuming you can see me. Anyway, that's sort of off topic. We're here to learn about Unit Standard 29772, File Management. So come with me now on a journey through time and files to the land of file management. So there's a number of skills that we're going to talk about today and learn how to do. Okay? That is all about file management. So we're going to learn how to create files, save files, copy files, name a file, rename that file, move it, sort files, deleting a file, archiving, retrieving, putting backups of your files locally and remotely, restoring a file, compressing an entire folder or a file, and maybe even have a look at managing threats to your data, such as data corruption or deletion or anything like that. Maybe even it could help against unauthorized access. So let's start off with the basics. Creating a file. Okay, I'm going to be creating a Microsoft Word file, and I'm going to call this, I'm just going to write in the file so there's something in it. It's going to have in it my file. Okay? So now, while this is open, I haven't saved it or anything, so it hasn't been saved as a saved file on my computer. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go File, I'm going to go Save As, I'm going to put it into my Documents folder, and I'm just going to call it Created File. I'm going to go Save, and that's it. I've created that file. Okay, so when I open up my documents, I'm going to scroll down and I'm going to be able to see my file. That's it. I have created a file. And as I was creating this My File document, I was also saving it. So I saved a file. That was nice and easy. All I had to do was go File, Save As, give it an appropriate name, and hit Save. Easy. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to exit out of here. I am going to create a new folder called Observation, because what I want is I want every file that I'm going to be playing with in this video to be in the same place. So I'm going to drag my file into Observation. There it is. There's the folder. Bang it in. So what I've done is I've just moved that file. Another way of doing that is right click, and you could cut and paste it, or you could go send to, and you can send that file anywhere you want, okay, just by navigating through the options. That's pretty cool, I think. Okay, so let's say I want a copy of this file. That's nice and easy. All I do is I right click, okay, and I go Copy. Now, what I can do is right click again and go Paste. So I've copied and pasted that file. Now I have two identical copies of that file. Now, you can see I have two titles here, My File and My File Copy. I'm not happy with my file being called My File Copy, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to right click scroll down to rename, left click on rename, and I'm going to call it Unit Standard 29772 film file. Now I've given it a unique name. Now I have two very distinct files that both have the same content. So that's pretty cool. Now, let's say I'm not quite happy with one of my files. Okay, I think it's a little bit superfluous. I want to get rid of it. I want to delete it. All I have to do is click on the file, my file, drag and drop into your recycling bin. Okay? That's going to move the file to the recycling bin. But that doesn't necessarily mean that it's deleted. Okay? So if I were to open up my recycle bin, I would see it's still there in the bin. What I need to do to fully delete the file is right click on the recycle bin and empty recycle bin. And when that's done, the file is completely deleted. So in order to learn about how to sort files, what I've done is I've created a few more files in this folder, okay? So now we've got Unit Standard 29772 film file, and we've also got three more files, red, blue, and yellow. So at the moment, my files are sorted alphabetically. So blue file is first, then red, then Unit Standard, blah, 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 and then yellow. Let's say I don't want my files to be sorted alphabetically. That's alright. You right click within the folder and you can just go to sort by, and here you can see a whole bunch of options. So if I go descending, it's going to reverse the order because essentially it's still alphabetical but in descending order. So yellow is the first file now, and blue is the last file. Or we can sort by the date modified. So the file that you worked on last will be the file that you see first. And then the file that is the oldest, that you haven't looked at in the most time, will be the one that you see at the end. File type, so the type of file, whether it's a video file or a Word file or a publisher file, they'll all be sorted by the types of files that they are, or the size of file. So you can say, okay, show me the biggest files first, or show me the smallest file first. So those are some options that you can use to sort your files by. And they all have, benefits. So that sorting is nice and easy. Okay, so let's say I've got a file that I really like, okay? And I want to save it in a place where I know I'm not really going to be able to easily delete it accidentally, which does happen. I've run into some dramas in the past. Okay, what I can do is I can add the file to the archive. Now an archive is a place where you can save things long term. So what you want to do is, let's say I really like this file yellow. Yellow is my favourite colour. I right click, okay, and I've got this add to archive, and it's got this little symbol here on the left. Essentially what's going to happen is the file is going to get smushed down and saved into the archive. Okay, so click it, add to archive. We've got some parameters and some options here. So the archive name will be yellow.rar. Okay, we can set a password if we wanted to. We could add recovery records. We've got file security that we can go through. So there's a lot to play with here, okay? We can add comments, enter a comment manually. This is a test archive file. So really, all of these options, all of these comments that you can put in are going to make it helpful for you to be able to navigate through different files within your archive. Now let's hit OK. There it is. We can see now that there's this weird little symbol here, this weird file. That is my archived file. So if I were to open that file and unlock it, it would create another one of these yellow files here. Now I just want to bring attention to the size differences in these files, okay? So the original file was 12.3 kilobytes. Not a big file, but the archived file is 9.87 kilobytes. So what that means is we've actually compressed the file down, okay? So we've squashed it so you can fit more files in the same place because they're all teensy tiny and squished. Okay. So let's say we want to retrieve our file from the archive. Double click on the file, okay? Select the one that you want, so yellow.docx, extract files, okay? So now, destination path. Destination will be created if does not exist. So that's saying that it's going to put it into my documents folder, under observation, yellow. You could probably, not probably, you can also manually go through your file tree here to say, okay, put it in this file. So I think I've set that to the desktop, and yeah, okay. So I click out of that, click out of my archive, and now I've got this file here on my desktop that's yellow. So if I open it up, it's the file. So that is how you retrieve a file from the archive. That's awesome. Now, let's say I've accidentally popped that file into the recycling bin. All I need to do is open the recycling bin. If I want to save my file, okay, drag it out. That's all you have to do if you accidentally delete one of your files, is to do that. Perfect. Now, let's say we just wanted to compress a file, okay? So I'm going to open up the observation folder again. Okay, so now let's say I want to compress the red file, okay? You right click and you just go compress. It's pretty easy, eh? So you can compress an email. How about if we wanted to do a whole folder? We right click, okay? And just compress it. Okay. And what it'll do is it'll take some time to compress the entire folder. Okay, so to compress a file, all you have to do is right click, hit compress, okay? And what that will do is it will turn it into a zip file. Now, zip files are just like archived files, okay? So they're compressed, and I don't really know why I'm using hand gestures because you can't see them. but it compresses them down, okay, so that they're a lot smaller. So again, all that is a right click and compress. So let's think about now local and remote backups. We've got all of these files here in a folder, but what happens if the folder is deleted? Well, that's nice and easy. We can create a local backup by copying and pasting into a different area the entire folder. Okay, so now I've got a copy of that folder here on my desktop. That's pretty handy. I've just created a local save, a local copy. But let's say we want to create a copy or a backup of the files that aren't on the computer. Now what you can do is you can either save it to your organization's cloud, whether that be Office 365 or Google Docs, whatever, or you can just use a USB stick, okay? So you plug in the USB pops up, and you just save the file onto it. That's all that you have to do for remote backups, okay? And honestly, creating remote backups is probably your best bet for managing threats to your data, because that means that you've got an external copy of your file that cannot be touched or hacked, okay? Because it's in a physically different area, probably sitting in your desk drawer. So really, that's all there is to file management, okay? Creating, saving, copying, naming, renaming files, that's all really nice and easy. So is moving a file, deleting a file. We've probably all deleted files in the past. Sorting and archiving files, okay, that's getting into your more intermediate, advanced area of file management. But honestly, that's just a right click away. So is retrieving your files from your archive, okay? So that was just a double click on the archive file and then hitting retrieve. Nice and easy. File compression, creating zip files, that can be pretty handy for just storing long-term storage of files. You'd want to do that if you're finished with your files but think that you might need them later on and you don't want them to take up too much space, so you could compress them, throw them onto your cloud, or even just in your documents somewhere or a USB. Forget about them until you need them. Managing threats to data, create backups, guys. Create backups of every file that you want to save, essentially. And that's it. Get out there and have some fun.